The boy was born without hope, and the millionaire, tired of empty promises, had already given up on everything, until, in an upscale restaurant, a simple waitress walked over and calmly said, "I can make your son walk again." Everyone around laughed. They ignored her. But the next morning, the millionaire was frozen by what he saw. The elegant dining room of Chicago's Hotel Imperial gleamed under crystal chandeliers, a world Claire Morgan navigated with practiced efficiency, balancing 3 plates of overpriced entrees along her arm. She weaved between tables of the city's elite with a smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Your Chilean sea base, sir, the lamb for madam, and the scallops." Claire set each dish down with the precision of someone who understood the value of control. "Thank you, dear." The woman barely glanced up, more interested in her companion's story about his new yacht than the person serving their meal. Claire stepped back, tucking a strand of honey-brown hair behind her ear. At 28, she could have been anywhere but here. Should have been anywhere but here. 5 years of medical school, 3 more specializing in neurological physical therapy, graduating with honors from the University of Michigan. All of it erased in a single afternoon. "Morgan, table 12 needs attention." Marcus, the floor manager, appeared at her elbow. "It's the Hayes party again." Claire's shoulders tensed imperceptibly. On it, table 12 was positioned by the window overlooking Lake Michigan, reserved weekly for the same guests. As Claire approached, she assessed them with the clinical detachment that had once made her a promising medical researcher. Gregory Hayes, Forbes-listed billionaire, owner of the Hayes Group construction and hospitality empire, sat with his typical rigid posture, an untouched glass of Macallan 25 at his right hand. His dark hair was graying at the temples, face lined with the kind of fatigue money couldn't erase. Across from him sat 7-year-old Owen Hayes, thin shoulders drowning in a tailored blue blazer, hands folded neatly in his lap. The boy looked up as Claire approached. "Hello, Miss Morgan." "Hello." "Owen." Claire allowed herself a genuine smile for the child. Unlike most kids his age, Owen remembered names, noticed details. "How are you this evening?" "I'm well, thank you." "Did you know octopuses have 3 hearts?" Claire laughed softly. "I did know that, actually. They need the extra hearts to pump blood through their gills. And to all 8 arms," Owen added, eyes bright. Gregory Hayes checked his watch. "We'll have the usual, Miss Morgan. Steak for me, medium rare, the chicken and steamed vegetables for Owen." "Of course, Mr. Hayes." Claire jotted down the order she'd already memorized. "Would you like to try the special tonight? The chef has prepared?" "We'll stick with the usual." His phone buzzed. "Excuse me." Claire retreated to the kitchen, handing the order to the chef through the service window. She watched father and son, while Gregory spoke tersely into his phone. Owen sat perfectly still, watching the world outside the window. The boy had been in a wheelchair since the car accident that killed his mother 2 years ago. The papers had covered the tragedy extensively. Perfect Sophie Hayes, philanthropist and society darling, dead at 39. Her son left paralyzed. The grieving billionaire husband who'd walked away without a scratch. What the papers didn't report, what Claire had only learned 6 months ago from her dying mother, was that the same Gregory Hayes had once paid Diane Morgan to disappear when she'd gotten pregnant with his child 29 years ago. A child who grew up to become Dr. Claire Morgan, until the day the Bennett family destroyed her career. "Order up for tables 9 and 12. The chef's call pulled Claire from her thoughts. She delivered the other table's meals first, then approached the Hayes table with practiced composure as she set down Owen's plate. The boy looked up with a tentative smile. "Thank you, miss." His body suddenly went rigid, eyes widening as a violent spasm racked his small frame. Gregory dropped his phone. "Owen. Owen." Without thinking, Claire set down the plates and moved to the boy's side. Her hands found the precise pressure points along his neck and spine, places where the damaged nerves triggered the worst spasms. Using the specialized technique she'd developed during her doctoral research, she applied rhythmic pressure, speaking softly. "Easy, Owen. Breathe with me, in and out. Feel your muscles relaxing, starting from your neck, down your shoulders, through your spine." The tremor subsided within seconds. Owen's breathing steadied as he looked up at her with surprise. How did you do that?" he whispered. Claire stepped back, suddenly aware of Gregory Hayes' piercing stare. "Just a pressure technique I used to. I've seen it work before." "That wasn't just pressure," Hayes said, voice low. The doctors at Mayo Clinic couldn't stop his spasms that quickly. He studied her with new intensity. "Who are you, really?" "Just a waitress, Mr. Hayes." Claire forced a smile. "Would you like me to bring some water for Owen?" "Please." As she turned to leave, Hayes added, "And Miss Morgan, we'll talk later." Back in the kitchen, Claire leaned against the wall, heart racing. She'd revealed too much. 5 years of careful anonymity potentially undone by instinct. The same medical instinct that had destroyed her life when she'd tried to help Joshua Bennett. Her mind flashed back to that devastating day, the experimental neurostimulation treatment, Joshua's unexpected seizure, the machines flatlining. The Bennett family's accusations, her technique, her research, stolen, her reputation, ruined, and worst of all, the young patient she'd been trying to help. Dead, at least. That's what the Bennetts had told the medical board. That's what everyone believed. After her shift, Claire found Gregory Hayes waiting beside the service exit, standing rigidly next to his gleaming black Bentley. "Ms. Morgan, a moment of your time." Claire gripped her bag tighter. "I'm afraid I have a bus to catch, Mr. Hayes. I'll have my driver take you home afterward." It wasn't a request. "I've spent the afternoon researching Dr. Claire Morgan, University of Michigan, promising neurological physical therapist whose career ended after an incident with the Bennett boy." Claire's throat tightened. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Please." Hayes' composure cracked slightly. "That technique you used on Owen. I've taken him to specialists across the world. No one has been able to help him like you did today." Claire looked away. "I should go. I'll pay you. Whatever amount you want." His voice held a desperate edge she'd never heard before. "Just help my son. I don't practice medicine anymore, Mr. Hayes. Yet you obviously haven't forgotten how." He handed her a business card with a handwritten address. "This is my home. Come tomorrow at 10 a.m., name your price." Before Claire could refuse again, Hayes added, "My wife, Owen's mother. Her name was Sophie Clark Hayes." Claire froze. Clark, her mother's maiden name. "Good night, Ms. Morgan." Hayes slid into his car, leaving Claire standing there, the card burning in her hand like a fuse to the past she'd tried so hard to escape. That night, in her cramped studio apartment, Claire unpacked the box of her mother's belongings. Diane Morgan had kept meticulous records, birth certificates, old photographs, letters, all evidence of the secret she'd revealed to Claire on her deathbed, that Gregory Hayes was Claire's biological father, and that his wife Sophie had been Diane's half-sister, sisters separated by the cruelty of a privileged father, acknowledging only his legitimate child. Claire traced her fingers over a faded photo of her mother as a young woman, beautiful and proud despite her circumstances. In the morning, she would accept Hayes' offer, not to help him or his son, but to finally deliver the justice her mother never received. Justice, or perhaps revenge. At this point, Claire wasn't sure there was a difference. The Hayes estate loomed against the morning sky, a modern fortress of glass and limestone perched on Chicago's North Shore. Claire checked the address on the card again, though she'd memorized it hours ago during her sleepless night. The wrought iron gates parted silently at her approach, as if the property itself had been expecting her. Her worn Honda Civic looked embarrassingly out of place as she parked it beside the fountain in the circular driveway. Claire smoothed her simple black blazer, the one she'd worn to job interviews after her medical license was suspended, and grabbed her leather portfolio. Inside were copies of her research papers, but also a small voice recorder. She wasn't leaving anything to chance this time. A housekeeper answered the door, her expression professionally neutral. "Dr. Morgan, Mr. Hayes is expecting you in his study." Doctor. The title felt like a forgotten language. Claire followed the woman through a soaring entryway of marble and crystal, past rooms bigger than her entire apartment. The house was beautiful but sterile, more museum than home. No toys scattered around, no evidence a child lived here at all. "This way, please." The study was lined with books that looked untouched, their leather spines too perfect. Gregory Hayes stood at a wall of windows overlooking Lake Michigan, still as a statue in his tailored suit. "Dr. Morgan." He turned, gesturing to a chair across from his massive desk. "Thank you for coming." I haven't agreed to anything yet, Mr. Hayes. Claire remained standing. And I'm not a doctor anymore. Your research should have told you that. Formalities stripped away by politics and power rarely change the substance beneath. Hayes sat, motioning again to the chair. Please, we have much to discuss. Claire sat reluctantly, placing her portfolio on her lap. Let's be clear about something. What happened at the restaurant was instinct. I haven't practiced medicine in 2 years. And yet, you knew exactly how to help my son when specialists with active licenses couldn't. Hayes leaned forward. I've spent the morning reading your dissertation on neurostimulation techniques for spinal cord injuries. Brilliant work, ahead of its time, until the Bennett family decided it was dangerous. The incident with Joshua Bennett. Hayes nodded. A seizure during experimental treatment, followed by cardiac arrest. The family claimed your unproven methods killed their son. They did more than claim it. They made sure everyone believed it. Claire's fingers tightened around the portfolio. They had connections on the medical board, and in the patent office, apparently. Hayes slid a folder across the desk. Your technique is now marketed as the Bennett Protocol at select private clinics, quite profitable. From what I hear, Claire's stomach twisted. They'd not only stolen her future, they'd stolen her work. What does this have to do with your son? Hayes closed the folder. I've taken Owen to 17 specialists across 4 continents, the best neurologists, the most advanced treatments. Not one of them has been able to help him the way you did yesterday with a simple touch. It's not simple. It's a specific pressure sequence targeting damaged neural pathways combined with... Claire caught herself. It doesn't matter. I can't help you. $1 million. Claire blinked. Excuse me? $1 million to work with Owen for 6 months. Hayes's expression remained impassive. Private treatment in my home, no paperwork, no records, nothing that could compromise you legally. Just help my son. The sum was staggering. Enough to pay off her student loans, her mother's medical debts, start a new life somewhere. But money wasn't what she needed from Gregory Hayes. Why the secrecy? She asked. Worried what people might think if you hired the disgraced doctor. Something flickered across Hayes's face. My concern is for Owen, not public opinion. He's had enough disappointment. So you want to keep it quiet in case I fail too. I want to protect him from false hope. Hayes stood, walking to a silver-framed photo on his desk. He turned it toward Claire, a younger Owen, standing between his parents at a beach, all 3 smiling. Before the accident, my wife, Sophie, believed in him more than anyone. She never would have accepted the doctor's prognosis. And what exactly is that prognosis? Claire asked. That he'll never walk again. That the damage to his spinal cord is permanent. Hayes's composure cracked slightly. That the best we can hope for is managing his symptoms. Claire studied the photograph more carefully. The woman, Sophie, had warm eyes that looked vaguely familiar, though Claire had never met her. The same eyes that stared back at Claire from her own mirror every morning. Your wife, Claire said carefully. You mentioned her name was Sophie Clark Hayes. Yes, Sophie came from the Clark family of Boston. Old money, though most of it was gone by the time we met. Hayes picked up the photo, his thumb brushing over his wife's face. She died instantly in the crash. Sometimes I think that was merciful given what happened to Owen. Claire's heart pounded. Clark from Boston, just as her mother had said. When did you and Sophie marry? Hayes looked up, surprised by the question. 20 years ago. Why? Before Claire was born, of course. He'd already abandoned her mother by then. Paid her to disappear. How convenient that he'd later married the legitimate daughter from the other branch of the family. The half-sister her mother never got to know. Just curious. Claire stood, finding her resolve. I'll work with your son, Mr. Hayes, but I have conditions. Relief washed over his face. Name them. I'll need complete access to his medical records. A dedicated room for treatments, and I'll document everything myself. No surveillance, no observers except when I allow it. Done. And I want half the money up front. Hayes nodded, reaching for his phone. I'll have my assistant arrange the transfer today. One more thing. Claire's voice hardened. I need to know everything about the accident. Every detail you remember. A shadow crossed Hayes's face. The police report. I've read it. I want to hear it from you. She activated the recorder in her portfolio, hidden beneath her papers. It could be relevant to his treatment. Hayes looked out the window again. Silent for so long, Claire thought he might refuse. Then, barely audible, "It was my fault. The other driver." There was no other driver. His knuckles whitened against the desk. "I was distracted, arguing on the phone. We went off the road. Sophie wasn't wearing her seatbelt. She'd turned to check on Owen in the back. When we hit the guardrail," he couldn't finish. Claire had her first confession on tape, but instead of satisfaction, she felt hollow. "Mr. Hayes," she said finally, "I'll need to see Owen now." The boy's room was on the second floor, overlooking the lake. Unlike the rest of the house, this space felt lived in. Walls covered with astronomy charts, bookshelves overflowing with novels well beyond his age level, a sophisticated telescope by the window. Owen sat in his wheelchair, reading, his thin legs covered with a blanket despite the warm day. He looked up when they entered, his face brightening. "Miss Morgan, Dad said you might come." "Hello, Owen?" Claire smiled despite herself. "I'm going to be working with you for a while. Is that okay? Are you going to help me walk again?" Claire hesitated, feeling Hayes' gaze on her. "I'm going to try some techniques that might help with your spasms and sensation, but I need you to understand that it might not work," Owen finished. "Everyone says that." "Owen," Hayes began. "It's okay, Dad. I know the odds." He turned back to Claire, eyes bright with an intelligence that belied his age. "But you're different, aren't you? I could tell yesterday." Claire knelt beside his wheelchair, meeting his gaze. "Medicine isn't just about odds. Owen, sometimes our bodies can surprise us, like octopuses regrowing their arms. Something like that." For the first time since entering the Hayes mansion, Claire felt her resolve waver. This boy, her half-nephew, though he didn't know it, wasn't part of her plan for revenge. He was just a child caught in a web of secrets and lies, like she had been. But as she looked up at Gregory Hayes, standing behind his son's wheelchair with the weight of guilt visible in every line of his face, she hardened her heart again. He'd abandoned her mother, denied her existence, built his perfect life with his perfect wife while Diana Morgan struggled alone. Now Claire would make him pay, by gaining his trust, gathering evidence of his secrets, and when the time was right, revealing everything, he would lose his reputation, just as she had lost hers. And Owen, he was innocent in all this. Perhaps helping him walk again could be the one good thing to come from the wreckage she planned to create. The east wing of the Hayes mansion was transformed into a state-of-the-art rehabilitation space within days. Claire surveyed the equipment, much of it custom-made to her specifications, delivered with the efficiency only unlimited money could provide. "Will this work?" Gregory stood in the doorway, assessing the room. "It's a good start." Claire ran her hand over the specialized treatment table. "You spared no expense. For Owen, nothing is too expensive." He hesitated. "When do you begin?" "Today." Claire organized her supplies, not looking up. "I'll need complete privacy for the first session. I'd prefer to observe." "That wasn't our agreement." "Mr. Hayes," Claire finally met his gaze. "My methods are unorthodox. Having an audience creates pressure that could compromise Owen's treatment." What she didn't say, having Gregory present would make it harder to record their sessions secretly. The tiny cameras she'd hidden in her equipment bag would document Owen's progress, evidence that her stolen technique worked. That the Bennetts had lied. Gregory's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Very well, but I want detailed reports." "You'll have them." After he left, Claire took a deep breath, fighting the guilt creeping up her spine. Using Owen as a means to an end felt wrong, but she reminded herself the boy would benefit regardless. If her treatment worked, he might walk again. If it didn't, well, she had nothing left to lose. Owen arrived in his wheelchair, pushed by a nurse who quickly disappeared. "Dad says you're going to do magic," Owen said, eyes bright with anticipation. Claire smiled despite herself. "Not magic, Owen. Science. The difference isn't always clear." He gestured to the books he'd brought. "Einstein said the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious." "You read Einstein?" Claire blinked, surprised. "Dad gets me any book I want?" Owen shrugged. "He thinks it makes up for everything else." The simple observation carried a weight of understanding beyond his years. Claire helped him onto the treatment table. "This might feel strange," she warned, preparing the specially formulated cream she'd developed during her research. but I need you to tell me everything you feel, even if it seems insignificant. The treatment began with gentle pressure along his spine. Following the neural pathways damaged in the accident, Claire worked methodically, applying her knowledge of neuroanatomy with the precision that had once made her a rising star in her field. "Can you feel this?" She pressed gently above his knee. Owen shook his head. "That's okay." Claire continued working. "Today's just a baseline. We're mapping how your body responds." After 40 minutes, Claire helped Owen back into his wheelchair, keeping her expression neutral. Despite her excitement, she'd felt micro-responses in his muscle tissue. Nothing he could perceive yet, but present nonetheless. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Tired, but good tired, like after thinking really hard." Owen studied her face. "Did I do okay?" "You did great." Claire squeezed his shoulder. "Same time tomorrow." After Owen left, Claire retrieved her hidden camera, downloading the footage to her laptop on screen. Her hands moved with practiced precision across Owen's spine. She added clinical notes, documenting every reaction, every method, creating an irrefutable record of her work. Days turned into weeks. Claire established a routine. Mornings with Owen, afternoons documenting her findings. Gregory kept his distance as agreed, though she often felt his presence just outside the door. One afternoon, Claire was organizing her notes when Gregory appeared with lunch. "You've been working 6 hours straight," he said, placing the tray on her desk. "Even brilliant minds need food." Claire accepted the sandwich grudgingly. "Thank you." "How's he doing?" Gregory asked, his casual tone belied by the tension in his shoulders. "It's too soon for definitive results." "That's not what Owen says." Gregory sat across from her. "He told me yesterday he felt buzzing in his toes." Claire nearly choked on her sandwich. Owen hadn't mentioned this to her. "Phantom sensations are common," she said carefully. "The mind creates perceptions based on expectations. And if it's not phantom..." Gregory leaned forward. "What if your technique is working?" Claire studied him, seeing hope warring with skepticism in his eyes. Perfect opportunity. "Mr. Hayes," she began, activating the recorder in her pocket. "I need to understand what happened in the accident more clearly. Owen's spinal injury is unusual. The damage pattern doesn't fully match the official report." Gregory stiffened. "I told you what happened. You told me it was your fault. You didn't explain how." Claire kept her voice clinical. "Was Owen properly secured in his car seat?" "Of course he was, I wouldn't..." Gregory stopped, running a hand through his hair. "Sophie and I were arguing on the phone, but it escalated when she got in the car." "About what? Does it matter?" His voice hardened. "Every detail matters in neural recovery, Mr. Hayes. Stress hormones, body position during trauma, they all affect injury patterns." Gregory was silent for so long Claire thought he wouldn't answer. Finally, he spoke, voice low. "She found out about an affair, not my first. But this one mattered to her more. She was planning to leave me, take Owen." His gaze fixed on something distant. "We were fighting about logistics. Who would move out? Custody arrangements. I wasn't watching the road. When I looked up, it was too late." Claire's recorder captured every word, but instead of triumph, she felt a strange hollowness. Was this the same man who'd callously abandoned her pregnant mother? He seemed genuinely tormented. "Thank you for telling me," she said finally. "It might help with Owen's treatment." Gregory stood to leave, then paused. "Dr. Morgan, Claire, whatever you're doing with Owen, it's working." He asked this morning if he could start piano lessons again, after he left. Claire reviewed her footage from that morning's session. There, the moment she'd pressed on Owen's lower lumbar region, his toes had definitely twitched. Not imagination, not phantom sensation, real neural response. Despite herself, Claire felt a surge of professional satisfaction. Her technique worked. The vindication she'd sought for years was within reach. That evening, Claire was reviewing her notes when she heard a soft knock. Owen sat in his wheelchair outside her door, pajama-clad, a book in his lap. "Owen, it's late. Does your father know you're here? He's on a business call." Owen wheeled himself in, maneuvering with practiced ease. "I wanted to show you something." He handed her a well-worn photo album. "It was my mom's. Claire hesitated. This wasn't part of her plan, but curiosity won out, and she opened the album. The first photos showed Sophie as a young woman, elegant, smiling, with the same honey-brown hair Claire had inherited from Diane. The resemblance was unmistakable now that she looked for it. "You look like her," Owen said quietly. Claire's heart skipped. "What?" "Around the eyes." Owen pointed to a photo. "And when you smile, really smile, not your doctor smile, it's the same." Claire closed the album, unsettled. "It's just a coincidence." Owen's gaze was too perceptive for a 7-year-old. "Dad has a box of old pictures in his office. There's one of Mom with another woman who looks like you too." Before Claire could respond, they heard footsteps in the hall. "Owen." Gregory appeared in the doorway, worry turning to relief. "I've been looking everywhere for you." "Sorry, Dad, I was showing Doctor Morgan Mom's pictures." Something flashed across Gregory's face. Concern. Fear. He quickly masked it. "It's past your bedtime, buddy. Say goodnight." After they left, Claire sat alone, troubled by Owen's observation. She'd underestimated the boy's perception. If he noticed the resemblance, how long before Gregory did too? Later that night, in her cottage on the Hayes property, Claire called the only person she still trusted. "He's responding to treatment, Marcus," she whispered into the phone. "The neural pathways are reactivating exactly as my research predicted." "Claire?" Her former colleague's voice crackled with static. "This is dangerous, if the Bennetts find out." "They won't," she insisted. "Nobody knows I'm here, and when I've documented everything, I'll have proof my technique works, proof they destroyed my career for nothing." "For profit," Marcus corrected. "The Bennett protocol is making them millions. They'll never admit they stole it from you. They won't have a choice when I'm done." Claire's voice hardened. "And neither will Gregory Hayes." After hanging up, Claire opened her laptop to update her journal. On screen, the day's footage showed Owen's toes definitely moving during treatment. Beneath it, she typed, "Day 23. Subject shows first concrete signs of neural recovery. Technique confirmed effective. Evidence building against both Bennetts and Hayes." She closed the file, encrypted under the name Project Justice. But as she fell asleep, it wasn't visions of revenge that filled her mind, but Owen's words, "You look like her." Her mother's voice seemed to whisper from beyond. Some truths can't stay buried forever. A month into Claire's treatment, the rehabilitation room became their sanctuary. Here, away from Gregory's watchful eye, Claire found herself lowering her guard with Owen. The boy's intelligence and quiet determination made it impossible to see him as merely a means to her revenge. "What was your favorite subject in school?" Owen asked during their Friday session. His legs extended as Claire worked on his lower back. "Neuroanatomy," she answered automatically, then smiled. "But before medical school, I loved astronomy. I had a telescope like yours." "Really?" Owen perked up. "Do you know the constellations?" "Some. My mom taught me." Claire's hands moved in practiced patterns across his spine. "She said stars help us remember we're part of something bigger." "My mom said something similar." Owen's voice softened. "She used to take me stargazing before. Everything." Claire felt that uncomfortable twinge again. The reminder that Sophie, the woman she'd never met, was her aunt. "Family. Tell me about her," Claire said, surprising herself with the request. Owen's face brightened. She was the best, smart and funny and brave. She could name every star in Orion's belt and make chocolate chip pancakes in the shape of Saturn. His smile faded slightly. "She and Dad fought a lot near the end, though." Claire kept her voice neutral. "All married people argue sometimes. Not like them." Owen stared at the ceiling. "Mom found something in Dad's study. Papers or photos. I don't know, but after that, everything changed. She cried a lot when she thought I couldn't hear." Claire's fingers stilled. What had Sophie discovered? Something about Gregory's affairs? Or something deeper? Something about Diane, perhaps? Did she ever say what upset her? Owen shook his head. "But the night before the accident, I heard her on the phone. She said, 'I have to tell him the truth, no matter what it costs us.'" Before Claire could probe further, Owen gasped. "I felt that," Claire refocused. "Where?" "My knee." Owen's eyes widened. "You pressed something and it felt like electricity, but not scary." Claire's professional instincts took over. She repeated the pressure sequence, watching Owen's expression. There. Again. Claire documented the exact position, her clinical mind cataloging the milestone while her heart raced with vindication. This was real progress. Further than she'd gotten with Joshua Bennett before the fateful seizure. "This is excellent, Owen." She helped him sit up. "Your neural pathways are responding to stimulation. It means the damage might not be as permanent as your doctors thought. Can I tell Dad?" Owen's eyes shone with excitement. Claire hesitated. "Let's wait a bit longer. I don't want to raise his hopes prematurely." The real reason? She wasn't ready for Gregory to demand explanations she couldn't give without revealing the full scope of her technique, the same technique the Bennetts had claimed killed their son. That evening, Claire was updating her records when Gregory knocked on her cottage door. He'd kept a respectful distance these past weeks, limiting their interactions to formal updates on Owen's condition. "Owen's asleep," he said, holding up a bottle of wine. "I thought you might want to celebrate." Claire frowned. "Celebrate what?" He told me about the sensation in his knee. Gregory's expression mixed hope and uncertainty. "I know you wanted to wait," but he was too excited to keep it secret. Claire sighed, stepping aside to let him in. The cottage was small but comfortable, a guest house converted to give her privacy. "Wine won't change my professional assessment, Mr. Hayes. One positive response doesn't guarantee recovery." "Gregory," he corrected, finding glasses in her kitchen. "And I'm not asking for guarantees, just allow me this small moment of hope." Against her better judgment, Claire accepted the glass he offered. They sat in awkward silence until Gregory spoke. "Why did you really agree to help Owen? And don't say it was the money." Claire stiffened. "What makes you think it wasn't?" "Because I've met enough people motivated by money to recognize the look." Gregory studied her. "You have a different agenda." She could have lied, maintained her cover story. Instead, she found herself offering a partial truth. "The Bennetts destroyed my career and stole my research. Working with Owen gives me a chance to prove my technique works." Vindication. Gregory nodded. "I understand that better than most." He swirled his wine. "Success is the best revenge. Is that your motto?" It was for many years. Something haunted crossed his face. "Until the accident. Success means nothing when you're watching your child suffer for your mistakes." The raw honesty in his voice caught Claire off guard. This vulnerable version of Gregory Hayes didn't fit the villain her mother had described. "Owen talks about his mother constantly," Claire said, changing the subject. "He clearly adored her. Everyone did." Gregory stared into his glass. "Sophie was extraordinary, compassionate, principled, better than I deserved. Yet you cheated on her," Claire couldn't help adding, the recorder in her pocket capturing every word. Gregory's jaw tightened. "Yes, the worst mistake in a lifetime of them. Was it just once?" "No." His honesty surprised her again. "There were others before, affairs that meant nothing, just ego and opportunity. But the last one," he trailed off. "The one Sophie discovered before the accident," Claire prompted. "Yes." Gregory drained his glass. "That relationship was different. I actually..." He stopped himself. "You what?" "It doesn't matter now." He stood abruptly. "I should go. Owen has an early tutoring session tomorrow. At the door." He paused. "Whatever your reasons for helping him, thank you. For the first time in 2 years, he's talking about the future again." After he left, Claire replayed their conversation, transcribing his admissions about the affairs. Good material for her plan. Yet she felt unsatisfied. He'd stopped short of a full confession, and his genuine remorse complicated the narrative she'd constructed. The next morning, Claire arrived early to find Owen already in the rehabilitation room, studying an anatomy chart of the spinal cord. "I've been researching," he announced without preamble. "The L1 vertebra controls hip flexion, and L2 through L4 control the quadriceps. That's where I felt the sensation yesterday, which means the nerve damage might be incomplete." Claire smiled despite herself. "Very impressive. Where did you learn all this?" "Internet mostly, and your textbooks." Owen pointed to a stack of medical texts she'd brought. "I borrowed them. Hope that's okay." "Of course." Claire began setting up for their session. "Just remember, spinal recovery is complex. The theory doesn't always match what happens in practice, like quantum physics. Owen nodded seriously. Observation changes outcomes. As Claire worked, Owen continued chatting, jumping between topics with the fluid connectivity of a curious mind, from astronomy to neural pathways to his mother's favorite books. She liked mystery novels, he said as Claire stretched his legs. I think that's why I like puzzles so much. What kinds of puzzles? All kinds. Riddles, codes, detective stuff. Mom and I used to make up scavenger hunts for each other. His voice grew wistful. For my birthday, she'd hide clues all over the house leading to my present. That sounds wonderful, Claire said, feeling another pang of connection to the aunt she never knew. Dad tried to do it last year, but it wasn't the same. Owen's face fell. He doesn't really get it. He thinks buying expensive things makes up for Mom being gone. Claire felt a surprising surge of defensiveness. Your father's trying his best, Owen. Grief affects everyone differently, I guess. Owen frowned. But sometimes I think he's hiding something important from me. What makes you say that? He has this safe in his office. After Mom died, he put a bunch of her things in there. When I asked about them, he said they were complicated adult matters, and changed the subject. Claire filed this information away. Gregory's safe might contain evidence useful to her cause. Adults sometimes keep secrets they think will protect children, she said carefully. I'm not a baby, Owen insisted. I know Dad feels guilty about the accident. I know he was on the phone with another woman when it happened. Claire froze. How do you know that? I was awake in the back seat. I heard them fighting about it. Owen's matter-of-fact tone belied the weight of his words. Mom said, "How could you do this to us again?" Then we crashed. The revelation stunned Claire. Owen had been conscious during the accident, had heard everything. Another piece of evidence for her case against Gregory. Yet she felt no satisfaction. I'm sorry you experienced that, Owen, she said softly. That's a heavy memory to carry. I don't blame Dad, Owen said, surprising her again. Not anymore. He blames himself enough for both of us. As their session ended, Owen looked up at her with those perceptive eyes. Dr. Morgan, when you talk about your mom, your voice sounds like mine when I talk about my mom. Like you miss her a lot. Claire swallowed hard. I do, Owen. Very much. Do you think, he asked hesitantly, they'd be friends if they knew each other, our moms? Claire thought of Diane and Sophie, half-sisters separated by circumstance, never knowing their connection. Yes, she answered honestly. I think they would have been very good friends. After Owen left, Claire sat alone in the quiet room, her conviction shaken. The boy's insight had pierced her carefully constructed walls. This was supposed to be simple. Document her technique, gather evidence against Gregory, expose the truth. But nothing was simple anymore. Not Owen's unconditional love for both his parents, not Gregory's genuine remorse, and certainly not the growing realization that her revenge might hurt the one innocent person in this tangled web of secrets. Owen Hayes had always been a curious child. Before the accident, his mother called him her little detective, encouraging his endless questions and investigations. That investigative spark, dampened by 2 years of hospitals and disappointments, had rekindled since Claire arrived. On a rainy Tuesday morning, Owen woke earlier than usual. His father had left for a business trip to New York, and Dr. Morgan wouldn't arrive for their session until 3 hours of unmonitored time. A rarity in his closely supervised life. Carefully, he maneuvered himself from bed to wheelchair, a transfer that had become smoother since Claire's treatments began. His legs still wouldn't support his weight, but the increased sensation made positioning easier. Small victories, as Claire called them. Owen wheeled himself to the window. Rain lashed against the glass. The lake beyond a tumultuous gray, perfect weather for an investigation. For weeks, questions had been accumulating in his mind. Why did Dr. Morgan look so much like his mother? Why did his father sometimes stare at her when he thought no one was watching? And most importantly, what was in the boxes his father had hurriedly moved to the attic after Mom died? Owen had overheard the housekeeper mention them last week. Those old boxes from Mrs. Hayes still taking up space in the attic. His father had changed the subject immediately. Getting to the attic would be challenging in his wheelchair. But Owen had been mapping the house's accessibility for months. The service elevator reached the 3rd floor, and from there, It was just a short crawl to the attic stairs. He'd practiced strengthening his arms for this very purpose. The house was quiet as Owen made his way to the service elevator, normally used for delivering laundry and supplies to the upper floors, heart pounding with the thrill of adventure. He pressed the button for the 3rd floor. When the doors opened, Owen carefully lowered himself from the wheelchair to the floor. Using his arms, he dragged himself across the hardwood toward the narrow staircase at the end of the hall. It was exhausting work, but determination fueled him. The attic door wasn't locked. Why would it be? When they assumed he couldn't reach it, Owen pulled himself up the first few steps, then rested, catching his breath. Claire's voice echoed in his mind. Patience. Listen to your body. It took 20 minutes to reach the top. But finally, Owen pushed open the attic door. Dust motes danced in the light from the dormer windows. The vast space was mostly empty, except for a cluster of boxes in the far corner, labeled in his father's precise handwriting. Sophie. Personal. Owen dragged himself across the wooden floor. Excitement building. When he reached the boxes, he hesitated only briefly before opening the first one. Inside were photo albums, journals, and loose papers. His mother's life, preserved in cardboard. Owen reverently lifted the top album, opening to a page of college photos. His mother, young and carefree, arm in arm with classmates. The next album contained older photos, Sophie as a teenager, then as a child. Owen studied each image carefully, noting the familiar eyes, the same smile he saw in his own mirror. Then he found it, a photo that made his heart stop. His mother, perhaps 12 years old, sitting on a park bench beside another girl of similar age. The girls looked strikingly alike, almost like sisters. Owen flipped the photo over, written in faded ink. Sophie and Diane, Boston Common, 1985. Diane. The name rang familiar, though Owen couldn't place it. He set the photo aside and continued searching. The next box contained more recent items. His mother's journals, her favorite scarf, documents in manila folders. Owen opened the most recent journal, dated just months before the accident. His mother's elegant handwriting filled the pages. Owen skimmed entries about charity functions, his piano recital, garden plans then. A passage from 3 weeks before the accident caught his eye. Found the old Clark family photos today while looking for my birth certificate. The girl in the park bench photo. Diane. Why does she look so much like me? Father's reaction when I mentioned her was strange. He became agitated. Said she was just a childhood friend who moved away. But there's something in his eyes when he lies. The same look G has when he's hiding something. Owen's pulse quickened. He flipped forward, scanning entries until he found one dated just days before the accident. It's worse than I imagined. Found financial records in G's study. Regular payments to a D. Morgan dating back 29 years. Stopped only when father died. The timeline matches. The resemblance is unmistakable. What if Diane wasn't just some friend? What if father's indiscretions weren't limited to mother? What if Diane and I need to confront G about this, about everything. No more secrets. Owen sat back, mind racing. Morgan. Dr. Claire Morgan. Was there a connection? He continued searching, finding a folder containing his mother's birth certificate, her parents' marriage license, and other official documents. At the bottom lay a sealed envelope addressed to his father in his mother's handwriting. Owen carefully opened it, unfolding a letter never sent. Gregory, by the time you read this, I'll have taken Owen to my sister's house. I need time to process everything I've discovered. I've suspected your affairs for years, made excuses, looked the other way, but finding proof you've been involved with Elise while I've been taking Owen to therapy, that was my breaking point. What truly devastates me, however, is what I've learned about Diane Morgan. The regular payments from my father, her striking resemblance to me. It doesn't take a genius to connect these dots. I believe Diane was my half-sister, which makes her daughter. Your new, physical therapist candidate you've been researching. My niece. Did you know when you pursued me? Was it coincidence that you married the legitimate daughter after paying off the other one's mother? Or was it calculated? Another move in whatever game you're playing? I need answers, Gregory. Owen deserves truth, and I deserve better than a life built on lies. Sophie. Owen's hands trembled. Dr. Morgan was his cousin, His mother had a sister she never knew about, and his father had somehow been involved with both families. The sound of a car on the gravel driveway snapped Owen back to reality. Claire was arriving for their session. He needed to get back downstairs. Hastily, Owen gathered the most important items, the photo, the journal entries, and the letter, and placed them in a folder he found nearby. Getting back to his wheelchair would be even harder than the climb up, but now he had purpose driving him. By the time Claire arrived, Owen was back in his room, the evidence hidden under his mattress, his mind spinning with questions. He needed to observe Dr. Morgan more carefully, look for more connections. The mystery was just beginning to unravel. "You're quiet today," Claire commented during their session, applying pressure to his lower spine. "Just thinking," Owen replied, watching her face for any resemblance to his mother. Now that he looked for it, the similarity was obvious. The same cheekbones, the same thoughtful expression. "About what?" Owen hesitated. "Do you have any family, Dr. Morgan?" Claire's hands faltered briefly. "My mother passed away 6 months ago. She was my only family." "What was her name?" Owen asked innocently. "Diane," Claire answered. "Diane Morgan." Owen's heart raced. Confirmation. "That's a pretty name," he said, fighting to keep his voice casual. "My mom's middle name was Diana, almost the same." Claire smiled, but Owen noticed the strain around her eyes. Quite a coincidence. Not coincidence, Owen thought. Connection. The pieces were falling into place, forming a picture more complex than he had imagined. His father's guilt, Dr. Morgan's sudden appearance, his mother's final letter, all connected by secrets decades in the making. That night, Owen began a new project. On large paper hidden under his bed, he started drawing a family tree, placing photos and notes where they belonged. At the center, he put the park bench photo of the two girls, Sophie and Diane, connected by a dotted line labeled with a question mark. Soon, he promised himself, the question marks would be replaced with truth. 3 months into Claire's treatment, the changes in Owen were undeniable. What began as faint sensations had progressed to controlled muscle movements. Owen could now wiggle his toes on command, flex his ankles, and even feel temperature differences along his legs. Claire documented everything meticulously, both for her revenge plan and for her own scientific validation. This morning, they were attempting their most ambitious exercise yet. Standing, "Remember," Claire explained as she adjusted the specialized parallel bars. "We're just testing weight bearing. Don't expect to walk today." Owen nodded, his face a mask of concentration. "I understand." Claire positioned herself in front of him as he gripped the bars. His knuckles whitened with effort as he pushed upward from his wheelchair. For a moment, his arms bore all his weight. Then, miraculously, his legs straightened slightly, taking some of the burden. "That's it," Claire encouraged, watching his form. "Feel your quadriceps engaging." Owen's face flushed with exertion, but he remained upright for 10 seconds before slowly lowering himself back to the chair. "I did it." His breathless excitement was contagious. "My legs felt awake," Claire nodded, making notes. "The neural pathways are remembering their function. Your brain is relearning how to communicate with muscles that have been dormant. Can we try again tomorrow? Let's see how you feel in the morning." Claire tempered his enthusiasm while secretly sharing it. Owen's progress exceeded her most optimistic projections. Later that afternoon, Claire was reviewing her notes when Gregory knocked on her office door. "Do you have a moment?" he asked, his usual corporate confidence tempered by something she couldn't quite place. "Of course." Claire closed her laptop, conscious of the evidence it contained against him. Gregory sat across from her, looking more disheveled than she'd ever seen him. His tie was loosened, hair slightly mussed, as if he'd been running his hands through it repeatedly. "Owen stood today," he said finally. Claire nodded. "For 10 seconds. It's promising, but it's a miracle," Gregory cut in. 3 months ago, the top specialists in the world told me he would never stand again." "It's not a miracle," Claire corrected. "It's neuroscience. Owen's spinal cord injury wasn't as complete as they thought. With the right stimulation techniques, neural regrowth is possible. Whatever you call it." Gregory leaned forward. "You've given my son something I couldn't buy with all my money." His voice cracked slightly. "You've given him hope." Claire looked away, uncomfortable with his gratitude. This man wasn't supposed to be capable of genuine emotion. He was the villain in her story, the heartless billionaire who'd abandoned her mother. "I should get back to work," she said, reaching for her laptop. "Claire," Gregory rarely used her first name, "there's something I need to tell you." Her hand paused. Was this it? The confession she'd been recording for? "I haven't been entirely honest about the accident," he continued, staring at his hands. "Or about Sophie." Claire's pulse quickened. She discreetly activated the recorder in her pocket. "Our marriage was already falling apart before the crash," Gregory said quietly. "Sophie had discovered one of my indiscretions, an affair with a woman named Elise. The one you were arguing about in the car," Claire prompted. "Yes, but it was more complicated than that." Gregory's shoulders sagged with the weight of his confession. Sophie had found evidence of something else. Old financial records, photos. She was asking questions I couldn't answer. "What kind of questions?" Gregory met her gaze directly. "About a woman named Diane Morgan." Claire froze, her carefully constructed facade threatening to crack. "What about her?" Sophie suspected there was a connection between Diane and her family. She found payments from her father to Diane spanning decades. Gregory watched her reaction carefully. "The night of the accident, Sophie confronted me about it. She believed Diane might have been her half-sister, the product of her father's affair." Claire's mind raced. Sophie had discovered the truth before she died. Had she known about Claire too? "Why would she confront you about her father's affair?" Claire asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. Gregory's expression darkened with shame. "Because I knew about it. I'd known for years. Since before I married Sophie." "How?" "I met Diane first," he admitted. 29 years ago, she was working as a housekeeper for the Clark family. We had a brief relationship." Claire's hands clenched beneath the desk. "And then you left her?" "Yes." Gregory's gaze dropped. "When she told me she was pregnant, I panicked. I was 20, ambitious, already climbing the corporate ladder. A pregnancy with the family housekeeper would have derailed everything. So you paid her off." Claire couldn't keep the bitterness from her voice. "I gave her money, yes. Asked her to disappear." Gregory's voice was barely audible. "It was the most cowardly thing I've ever done. And then you married her half-sister." The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. "Did you know they were related when you pursued Sophie?" "No." Gregory looked genuinely horrified. "I didn't make the connection until years later, when I saw an old photo of them together. By then, Sophie and I were already married with Owen on the way. So you kept it secret." "I told myself I was protecting everyone." Gregory ran a hand over his face. Sophie adored her father. Learning he'd had a secret child would have devastated her. And our marriage was already struggling. How could I admit I'd abandoned another woman and her child years before? Claire fought to control her breathing, her rage. Did Sophie ever learn the truth about the child? Gregory met her gaze, something like recognition dawning in his eyes. She suspected. The night of the accident, she asked if I'd ever tried to find Diane's child. She asked if I knew what had happened to her. I denied everything, tried to change the subject. We were arguing about it when I missed the curve in the road. The silence that followed was deafening. Claire's mind whirled with implications. Had Sophie been trying to find her, Claire, before she died? Had she wanted to connect with her half-sister's child? "Why are you telling me this now?" Claire finally asked. Gregory looked exhausted, haunted. "Because Owen is getting better, because life is giving me a second chance I don't deserve." He paused. "And because I think I've finally found her." "Found who?" "Diane's daughter." Gregory's gaze was unbearably direct. "I think it's you, Claire." The moment stretched between them, taut with 3 decades of secrets. Claire had rehearsed this confrontation countless times, imagined the satisfaction of revealing herself, of watching shock and dismay cross his face. Instead, she felt hollow. "What makes you think that?" she managed. Gregory opened his briefcase, removing a folder. "I had a DNA test done 3 weeks ago, using a hair from your brush." He slid the results across the desk. "You're my daughter, Claire." Claire stared at the paper. Scientific evidence of what she'd always known. All her careful planning, her elaborate revenge scheme. Gregory had anticipated it all. "How long have you suspected?" she whispered. "Since you first helped Owen at the restaurant." Something about your eyes. They're so like your mother's. Gregory's voice softened. I've had investigators confirm it. You're Diane Morgan's daughter, my daughter. Claire stood abruptly, overwhelmed. I need to be alone. Claire, no. She held up a hand. You've had decades to process this. I need time. Gregory nodded, gathering his things at the door. He paused. For what it's worth. I'm sorry. For everything. After he left, Claire sat motionless. The DNA results before her, recorder still running in her pocket. The perfect evidence for her revenge plan, delivered willingly by its target. Yet instead of triumph, she felt only confusion and grief. For years, she'd painted Gregory Hayes as a monster. Now she had to reconcile that image with the broken man who'd just confessed his worst sins, not to save himself, but because he thought she deserved the truth. That night, unable to sleep, Claire walked the grounds of the Hayes estate. The lake gleamed silver under the moon, the same moon that had watched over her mother all those lonely years. A light in the main house caught her attention. Owen's bedroom, making an impulsive decision. Claire headed toward the house. She needed to check on Owen, to ensure today's exercises hadn't caused any discomfort. That's what she told herself. Ignoring the deeper truth, she needed to see the one person in this twisted family saga who was truly innocent. Claire entered the main house quietly, using the key Gregory had given her for emergencies. The grand foyer was silent except for the steady tick of an antique grandfather clock. She made her way up the curved staircase, steps muffled by plush carpet. As she neared Owen's room, she heard voices. Pausing outside the partially open door, she listened. I know you're hiding something, Dad. Owen's voice was clear, determined. It's complicated, buddy. Gregory sounded exhausted. Adult stuff. I'm not a baby. I found Mom's letter, the one she never sent you. Claire froze. The letter Owen mentioned must have been what he'd been looking for in the attic. What letter? Alarm sharpened Gregory's tone. The one about Diane Morgan being Mom's half-sister, about Dr. Morgan being my cousin. Claire's breath caught. The silence that followed was deafening. Where did you find that? Gregory finally asked. In the attic, in Mom's boxes, a rustle of papers. I found other things too, photos, journal entries. Mom was putting it all together before the accident. Another long pause. Owen, is it true? Is Dr. Morgan really my cousin? Is she your... The question hung incomplete as Claire accidentally pressed against the door, causing it to swing open. Both Owen and Gregory turned toward her, equally startled. Owen recovered first, his face lighting up. Dr. Morgan, I was just asking questions you shouldn't be asking. Gregory finished, his expression unreadable. Claire stepped into the room, torn between retreat and confrontation. The moment of choice had arrived sooner than she'd planned. It's okay, she said quietly. I think it's time for the truth. Owen sat up straighter in his bed, a folder clutched to his chest. Gregory stood by the window, shoulders tense. So it is true, Owen said, looking between them. You're my cousin. Claire moved closer, perching on the edge of his bed. It's more complicated than that, Owen. Claire, Gregory began, a warning in his voice. He deserves to know. Claire cut him off. Everyone in this house has been keeping secrets for too long. Owen opened the folder, pulling out a photograph. It showed two young girls on a park bench. Sophie and Diane, half-sisters who never knew they shared a father. This is your mom, isn't it? Owen asked, pointing to Diane. Claire nodded, throat tight. Yes, that's my mother, Diane Morgan. And this is my mom, Sophie. Owen traced his mother's face with a gentle finger. They look like sisters. They were, Claire confirmed. Half-sisters. They had the same father, but different mothers. But they didn't know it, Owen added, surprising Claire with his perceptiveness. Mom's journal said she was just figuring it out before the accident. Gregory moved closer, sitting heavily on Owen's reading chair. Your mother was an incredible detective when she set her mind to something. She found financial records I thought were well hidden. Payments to Diane, Claire said, her voice hardening slightly. Hush money from Sophie's father and then from you. Owen's eyes widened. Dad, what does that mean? Gregory looked older than Claire had ever seen him, the weight of decades of lies visible in the slump of his shoulders. It means I made terrible mistakes, Owen. Mistakes that hurt people I should have protected. Tell him, Claire urged. All of it. Gregory met her gaze, then looked at his son. Before I met your mother, I had a relationship with Diane, Claire's mother, when she told me she was pregnant. I panicked. I was young, ambitious, concerned only with my career. I paid her to disappear from my life. Owen processed this, his analytical mind connecting the dots. So Dr. Morgan is my daughter, Gregory finished. Your half-sister. The words hung in the air between them. Owen stared at Claire with new understanding dawning in his eyes. That's why you look like Mom, he whispered. Because her sister was your mother. Claire nodded, fighting back unexpected tears. This wasn't how she'd planned her revenge. The dramatic public revelation, the carefully recorded evidence, the social humiliation. All of it seemed hollow now, facing Owen's innocent perception of a family connection. But why didn't you tell me? Owen asked, turning to his father. Why keep it secret? I was ashamed, Gregory admitted. I abandoned Claire and her mother. Then years later, by coincidence or fate, I met and married Sophie, never knowing she was Diane's half-sister by the time I realized the connection. It seemed too late to fix things. And then Mom figured it out, Owen said quietly, flipping through the papers in his folder. Right before the accident, Gregory nodded, pain etching deeper lines in his face. She was going to leave me, take you away. We were arguing about it when the unfinished sentence explained everything. Owen turned to Claire, his expression earnest. Is that why you came here to meet us? Claire hesitated, the bitter truth of her revenge scheme suddenly impossible to voice. I came because I wanted answers, she said carefully. After my mother died, I learned about your father, about Sophie being my aunt. I needed to understand what happened. It wasn't the whole truth, but it wasn't entirely a lie either. And to help me walk again, Owen pressed. That developed later, Claire admitted. But yes, helping you became important to me. Owen's face brightened. So we really are family. I have a sister. He looked between Claire and Gregory. Do you hate each other? Is that why it's so awkward when you're together? The question, so direct in its childlike simplicity, cut through the tension. Claire almost laughed. It's complicated, Owen, she said. Adults always say that when they don't want to explain, Owen retorted. But it's not that complicated. Dad made a big mistake a long time ago. He hurt your mom, you're angry, but you still came to help me. Put that way, the situation did seem clearer. Claire found herself smiling despite the emotions churning inside her. You're pretty smart for a 7-year-old. 7 3/4, Owen corrected, and I had a lot of time to think in hospitals. He looked down at his legs. When you can't move, your brain works overtime. Gregory moved to sit on Owen's other side. Son, I know this is a lot to process if you have questions. I have tons of questions, Owen interrupted. But first, he looked toward his bedroom door. Can we show Claire? Gregory followed his gaze, understanding dawning on his face. Are you sure? I thought you wanted to wait? It's perfect timing, Owen insisted, excitement replacing the solemnity of moments before. Please, Gregory nodded, standing. I'll help you. Before Claire could ask what they meant, Gregory was helping Owen into his wheelchair. Owen gestured for Claire to follow them into the hallway. Watch, Owen said, grinning. Dad, step back. Gregory moved away from the wheelchair as Owen gripped the armrests. With visible effort, Owen pushed himself to a standing position. Then, while Claire watched in astonishment, he took one shaky step forward, then another. Owen, Claire gasped. When did you, how? This morning, Owen said proudly, carefully balancing. After our session, I felt stronger, so I tried while Dad was with me. He took another wobbling step. I wanted to surprise you tomorrow. Claire rushed forward as Owen's legs began to tremble. But he remained upright, determination tightening his features. I was waiting for the right moment, he said, breathing hard with effort. I thought, if I could walk to you, maybe you'd want to stay, be part of our family. The simple hope in his voice broke something inside Claire, the hardened shell of resentment she'd built over years of injustice and loss. Before she could respond, Owen's legs buckled. Both Claire and Gregory lunged forward, catching him before he fell. For one suspended moment, the three of them were connected. Gregory's arm brushing Claire's as they supported Owen between them. "I've got you," Claire whispered, not sure if she was speaking to Owen or to herself. "I've got you." The morning after Owen's momentous first steps, Claire awoke to her phone ringing. The caller ID showed Marcus, her former colleague from the university hospital. She hadn't spoken to him in weeks. "Claire, turn on the news." Marcus's voice was urgent. "Channel 7, heart racing." Claire fumbled for the remote, switching on the small TV in her cottage. The morning news was in the middle of a medical segment. "Miraculous recovery has doctors questioning everything they thought they knew about coma patients," the anchor was saying. Joshua Bennett, who has been unresponsive for over 2 years following an experimental neurological treatment, opened his eyes yesterday afternoon and, according to hospital sources, has been able to communicate. Claire sank onto the edge of her bed, legs suddenly weak. Joshua Bennett, alive, awake. The patient she'd been told had died because of her treatment. "Claire, are you there?" Marcus's voice crackled through the phone. "He's alive," she whispered. "They told me he died. The Bennetts told everyone he died. They lied." Marcus's tone hardened. "They needed him dead to destroy your career and steal your research. But he was transferred to their private facility, kept on life support while they profited from your technique," the news segment continued, showing footage of the Bennett family's sprawling estate and their state-of-the-art medical center. "Reporters have not been allowed access to Joshua Bennett," the anchor continued, "but a statement from the family claims his recovery validates their Bennett protocol, which they've been developing since the incident." "They're already spinning it," Marcus said bitterly, "taking credit for your work again. But Claire, this changes everything. If Joshua is awake and can tell people what really happened." A sharp knock at her door interrupted them. "Claire," Gregory's voice, "have you seen the news?" "I have to go," Claire told Marcus. "Keep me posted if you hear anything else." She opened the door to find Gregory dressed for business, his face tense with urgency. "Joshua Bennett is awake," he said without preamble. "I know. I just saw." Gregory stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "This complicates things." "Complicates?" Claire raised an eyebrow. "It vindicates me. The Bennetts claimed Joshua died during my treatment. They used his death to destroy my career. And now they'll use his miraculous recovery to bolster the legitimacy of their stolen protocol," Gregory countered. "Unless we move quickly." Claire crossed her arms. Your treatment is working for Owen." Gregory's gaze was intense. "Now Joshua Bennett wakes up after 2 years. These aren't coincidences, Claire. Your technique works. The Bennetts know it, which is why they stole it. What are you suggesting?" "We go see Joshua." Gregory checked his watch. "I've made some calls. He's at Bennett Medical Center downtown. They're keeping him isolated, but I've arranged access." Claire stared at him, skeptical. "Just like that, the Bennetts hate me. They'd never let me near Joshua. They don't hate you. They fear you." Gregory's mouth curved in a humorless smile. "And while they may control most of Chicago's medical board, I control most of Chicago." An hour later, Claire found herself in Gregory's sleek black Bentley, speeding toward downtown Chicago. She'd barely had time to process the previous night's revelations about her paternity, and now this new development with Joshua. "Owen wanted to come," Gregory said, breaking the tense silence. "I convinced him to wait. He needs rest after yesterday." Claire nodded. "Mind elsewhere. How did you actually get us access to Joshua? The Bennetts must have him under guard. Lawrence Bennett owes me." Gregory's tone was matter-of-fact. "His development company was failing 3 years ago. I bailed him out quietly to protect mutual investments. He doesn't like it, but he honors his debts." The Bennett Medical Center rose from the Chicago skyline, all gleaming glass and modern architecture. Gregory's name opened doors immediately, though Claire noticed the receptionist's eyes widen with recognition when she gave her name. They were escorted to a private wing of the hospital, where a grim-faced security guard checked their IDs before allowing them into a plush waiting area. Dr. Hayes, a thin man in an expensive suit, approached, his smile not reaching his eyes. "This is unexpected. Lawrence?" Gregory shook the man's hand firmly. "You remember Dr. Morgan?" Lawrence Bennett's face tightened. "Of course, the woman whose negligence nearly killed my nephew. The woman whose research you stole." Claire countered evenly. How convenient that Joshua has awoken just as your patents on the Bennett protocol are being challenged. Bennett's face flushed. You have some nerve. Lawrence? Gregory interrupted smoothly. We're not here to argue old grievances. Your nephew is awake, and that's wonderful news. We'd like to see him. Impossible. Bennett glanced nervously down the hallway. Joshua is still undergoing evaluation. No visitors outside family. I think you can make an exception. Gregory's voice remained pleasant, but something in his tone made Bennett flinch. Given our arrangement, a tense standoff ensued, broken when a young nurse emerged from the room at the end of the hall. Mr. Bennett, she glanced uncertainly between the three of them. He's asking for her again, the angel doctor, he keeps saying. Claire's heart leapt. Joshua remembered her. Bennett's expression soured further. Fine, 5 minutes, and I'll be present the entire time. The hospital room was luxurious by most standards, more like a hotel suite than a medical facility. Joshua Bennett lay propped up in bed, his once athletic frame now thin. But his eyes, those were the same intelligent eyes Claire remembered from 2 years ago. Dr. Morgan, his face lit up when she entered. They said you were dead. Claire moved to his bedside, emotion tightening her throat. They told me the same about you, Joshua. They lied. Joshua's voice was weak but clear. They lied about everything. I could hear them, all this time. I could hear everything. Even in the coma. Lawrence Bennett stepped forward. Joshua, you need to rest. These people were just leaving. No. Joshua's voice strengthened with determination. I heard you, Uncle Lawrence. I heard all of you, talking about stealing Dr. Morgan's treatment, planning how to discredit her. I heard everything. The room fell silent. Claire felt a strange sensation, vindication mixed with horror. For 2 years, Joshua had been trapped in his body, conscious but unable to communicate, listening as his family plotted against her. I want to tell everyone, Joshua continued. I want to tell them what really happened, how your treatment was working. Dr. Morgan, how I felt better than I had in years before the seizure, which only happened because Uncle Lawrence switched my medication. Lawrence Bennett's face drained of color. That's enough, Joshua, you're confused. I'm not confused. Joshua's eyes narrowed. I've had 2 years of lying here, cataloging every conversation, every betrayal. I remember it all. Gregory stepped forward. Mr. Bennett, I believe we need to have a discussion about the future of the Bennett protocol and its rightful creator. Claire barely heard them. She moved closer to Joshua, taking his frail hand in hers. I'm so sorry, Joshua. I thought I'd failed you. No, he squeezed her hand weakly. You were the only one who didn't fail me. His eyes filled with tears. You called me your miracle patient. You said my brain was rewiring itself. You were right. Claire brushed away her own tears. How do you feel now? Like I've been asleep for a century. Joshua offered a ghost of his former smile. But also like I'm finally waking up. I want to tell my story, Dr. Morgan. I want to help you get back what they took from you. As Claire left the hospital with Gregory an hour later, her world had shifted once again. Joshua's testimony would change everything. Her reputation, her career, the future of her treatment. The Bennetts will fight this, Gregory warned as they drove away from the hospital. They have too much invested in their stolen protocol. Let them fight. For the first time in years, Claire felt the weight of injustice lifting. We have the truth, and now we have Joshua. Gregory nodded, eyes on the road. And Owen. Don't forget Owen. Claire looked out at the Chicago skyline, thinking of her half-brother's determined first steps the night before. I won't forget Owen, she said softly. He's family. The word felt strange on her lips. Family. After years of being alone, of fighting her battles single-handedly, Claire suddenly found herself with connections she never expected. A father, a brother, and now a patient returned from the presumed dead, ready to champion her cause. The revenge she'd planned seemed hollow now, overshadowed by something more powerful, the possibility of redemption, not just for herself, but for everyone caught in this tangled web of secrets and lies. The Bennett family wasted no time. 3 days after Joshua's awakening, they announced a press conference to showcase their groundbreaking success story and the revolutionary Bennett protocol that had brought him back from an apparent vegetative state. Claire watched the announcement on her laptop, jaw clenched in fury. They're still taking credit, even with Joshua awake and ready to contradict them. They're scrambling, Gregory replied, pouring coffee in Claire's cottage kitchen. Lawrence Bennett has been calling me non-stop, trying to negotiate. What does he want? For you to stay quiet? For Joshua to stay isolated until they can prepare him for public appearance? Gregory's expression hardened. They've offered money, Claire scoffed. I don't want their money. I want my reputation back. I want the truth acknowledged. I told them as much. Gregory checked his watch. Their press conference is at noon tomorrow. We should be ready to respond. Owen had made remarkable progress in the days since his first steps. Now, using forearm crutches, he could walk short distances. This morning, Claire found him practicing in the rehabilitation room, determination etched on his young face. Looking good, she encouraged, watching his careful movements. Remember to engage your core for balance. I'm getting stronger, Owen said, not looking up from his concentrated effort. Dad says I need to be ready for tomorrow. Claire frowned. Ready for what? The press thing. Owen reached the end of the parallel bars, turned carefully. To show everyone your treatment works. Claire felt a chill. Owen, you're not going to the Bennett press conference. Not theirs. Ours. Owen looked up, surprised by her reaction. Dad didn't tell you. He's organizing our own event. Same time, different location. To tell the truth, Gregory had mentioned, responding to the Bennetts. But this was news to Claire. Before she could question Owen further, Gregory appeared in the doorway. I was going to brief you this afternoon, he said, noting Claire's expression. The arrangements are still being finalized. You're using Owen as a prop, Claire demanded once they were alone in her office, parading him in front of cameras to prove a point. It was his idea, Gregory countered. He wants to help you. We both do. He's 7 years old. He doesn't understand the implications. He understands more than you think. Gregory leaned against her desk. Claire, the Bennetts are powerful. They've invested millions in marketing the stolen protocol. They have the medical establishment, the pharmaceutical industry, and half the politicians in Illinois in their pocket. And you have the other half, Claire retorted. Yes, and we need to use every advantage. Gregory's voice softened. Including showing the world that your technique doesn't just work theoretically, it works in practice, on real patients. Claire paced the small office. There must be another way. There isn't. Not in time. Gregory checked his phone. My sources say the Bennetts are moving Joshua to a private facility in Switzerland immediately after the press conference. They're trying to isolate him before he can speak publicly. Claire stopped pacing. Can they do that, legally? They're his legal guardians. They can claim it's for his medical benefit. Gregory's expression darkened. Unless we act first. By evening, Claire had reluctantly agreed to the counter press conference. Gregory's team worked through the night, securing the grand ballroom at the Lexington Hotel. Directly across the street from the Bennett announcement, media outlets received mysterious invitations promising the truth behind the Bennett protocol and a medical miracle you won't believe. The following morning dawned clear and crisp. Claire dressed carefully in her most professional outfit, a navy suit she hadn't worn since her academic days. In her pocket, she carried a flash drive containing years of research data, treatment videos, and recently, Joshua Bennett's sworn statement, recorded secretly during their hospital visit. Nervous, Gregory asked as they rode the elevator to the ballroom. Terrified, Claire admitted. What if they discredit me again? What if no one believes us? They'll believe Owen. Gregory squeezed her shoulder briefly. And they'll believe Joshua. The elevator doors opened to reveal a scene of controlled chaos. Gregory's team had transformed the ballroom into a professional press area, with a raised platform, multiple screens, and rows of chairs already filling with journalists. Camera crews jostled for position near the front. Owen waited backstage, sitting proudly in a new wheelchair he wouldn't need, but had brought as a visual prop. He wore a suit that matched his father's, his hair neatly combed. You look very grown up, Claire told him, straightening his tie. Dad says presentation matters, Owen replied seriously. First impressions and all that. Are you sure you want to do this? Claire asked softly. It's not too late to change your mind. Owen looked up at her, those perceptive eyes so like Sophie's. You fixed me when no one else could. Now I want to help fix things for you. Claire's throat tightened with emotion. Before she could respond, one of Gregory's assistants approached. They're ready. And Mr. Hayes, you should see this. She handed Gregory a tablet, showing a live feed from across the street. The Bennett press conference was in disarray, with Lawrence Bennett gesticulating angrily at his team. What's happening? Claire asked. Gregory's mouth curved in a satisfied smile. It appears their guest of honor is missing. On cue, the backstage door opened. Marcus entered, supporting a frail but determined Joshua Bennett. Sorry we're late, Marcus said, grinning. Hospital security is tighter than we anticipated. You broke Joshua out of the hospital, Claire gasped. More like, facilitated his voluntary discharge against medical advice, Marcus corrected. Joshua made the decision himself. They were going to ship me off to Switzerland tonight, Joshua explained, voice weak but resolute. I wasn't going to let them silence me again. Gregory checked his watch. Perfect timing. The Bennett conference should be starting now. Without their miracle patient, shall we give them something to really talk about? The lights dimmed in the ballroom as Gregory stepped onto the platform. Camera flashes erupted as he approached the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming, he began. I'm Gregory Hayes, and I'm here today to correct a grave injustice perpetrated against one of the most brilliant medical minds of our generation. The screens behind him illuminated with Claire's research data, academic credentials, and treatment protocols. 2 years ago, Dr. Claire Morgan developed a revolutionary neurological treatment that promised hope for patients with severe nervous system damage. Instead of receiving accolades, she was systematically discredited by the Bennett family, who then stole her technique and rebranded it as their own Bennett protocol. Murmurs rippled through the audience. Cameras clicked frantically as Gregory continued. Today, you'll hear from 3 people. First, Dr. Morgan herself will explain her groundbreaking technique. Then, you'll meet my son, Owen Hayes, who was told by the world's top specialists that he would never walk again. Gregory paused dramatically. And finally, you'll hear from Joshua Bennett. Yes, the very same Joshua Bennett whose supposed death was used to destroy Dr. Morgan's career. The young man whose miraculous recovery is being credited to the stolen Bennett protocol, but who is here today to tell you the truth about what really happened. The audience erupted in shocked exclamations. Journalists reached for phones, frantically reporting this unexpected development. Gregory gestured toward the side of the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Dr. Claire Morgan. Claire stepped into the blinding lights, heart pounding. This was the moment she'd dreamed of for years. Vindication. Justice. The chance to reclaim her life's work. Yet as she approached the microphone, she realized her motivation had shifted. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. Looking at Owen's proud face and Joshua's determined expression, Claire understood she was fighting for something larger than herself. She was fighting for her patients, for scientific truth, and for the family she never knew she had. My name is Dr. Claire Morgan, she began, her voice gaining strength with each word. And this is the true story of how tragedy and deception led to a medical breakthrough that belongs not to the Bennetts. Not even to me, but to every patient who deserves a second chance. Across the street, Lawrence Bennett watched the live feed from Claire's press conference, his face ashen as he realized the magnitude of what was unfolding. The carefully constructed facade protecting the Bennett protocol was crumbling before his eyes, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. The truth, so long suppressed, was finally breaking free. 6 months passed in a whirlwind of change. Summer turned to winter, and the Chicago skyline gleamed with fresh snow as Claire stood at the window of her new office. Below, construction workers put the finishing touches on the sign that would officially mark the opening of the Diane Sophie Institute for Neurological Rehabilitation. Nervous? Gregory asked, joining her at the window. Terrified, Claire admitted, but the good kind of terrified. From disaster had come triumph. The press conference had generated international attention, with Joshua Bennett's testimony proving the decisive blow against his family's deception. Medical journals that had once blacklisted Claire now clamored to publish her research. The Morgan method became the scientific term for what had briefly been known as the Bennett protocol. Owen's waiting in the garden, Gregory said softly. He wants to show you something before the ceremony. Claire nodded. gathering her notes for the opening speech. The past months had been a careful dance of reconciliation between her and Gregory. They weren't quite family yet, but they were something more than strangers. "I still can't believe we pulled this off in 6 months," Claire remarked, as they walked through the gleaming corridors of the new institute. "Money helps," Gregory shrugged, "but mostly it was your reputation. Once the truth came out, every investor wanted to be associated with the breakthrough. The Bennett family had retreated from public view after the scandal, facing multiple investigations and lawsuits. Joshua, now recovered enough to begin college, had become an advocate for patient rights and medical transparency. The Institute's garden was Claire's favorite part of the complex, a peaceful sanctuary designed for patient recovery and reflection. Owen waited by a freshly planted section, leaning slightly on a single cane. At 8 years old, he carried himself with a quiet dignity that belied his age, his recovery progressing faster than anyone had predicted. "There you are," he called, waving excitedly. "Come see what I did." Claire approached, smiling at his enthusiasm. Owen had thrown himself wholeheartedly into the Institute project, offering surprisingly insightful suggestions about what would help patients feel comfortable. "What am I looking at?" Claire asked, noting the 2 young saplings planted side by side. "They're Japanese maple trees," Owen explained proudly. "One for each of them." He pointed to the small brass plaques at the base of each tree. One read, "Sophie Clark Hayes," and the other, "Diane Morgan." "Oh, Owen," Claire felt her throat tighten with emotion. "The gardener said they'll grow together and their branches will intertwine eventually." Owen looked up at her, seeking approval. "I thought they should be together now, even if they couldn't be in life." Claire knelt beside him, not caring about the snow dampening her suit. "It's perfect," she whispered, hugging him. Over his shoulder, she caught Gregory's eye. Noting the sheen of tears, he quickly blinked away. The opening ceremony exceeded all expectations. Medical luminaries, politicians, and media from around the world gathered in the Institute's auditorium. Joshua Bennett received a standing ovation as he walked unassisted to the stage, a living testament to the treatment's effectiveness. When it was Claire's turn to speak, she approached the podium with a calm confidence that would have seemed impossible a year ago. "The Diane Sophie Institute represents more than medical innovation," she began. "It represents justice, for patients who were told their conditions were hopeless, for a technique that was nearly lost to corporate greed, and for 2 women who never knew they were sisters." From the front row, Owen beamed at her, Gregory beside him. In 6 short months, they had become her family. Imperfect, complicated, but hers. "Our mission is simple: to make this treatment accessible to everyone who needs it, regardless of wealth or status." Claire glanced at Gregory, who nodded encouragingly. "Which is why we're announcing today that the Morgan method will be made available to public hospitals at no cost, funded by the Hayes Foundation." The audience erupted in applause. It had been Gregory's idea, a way to atone for past sins while ensuring that Claire's work reached those who needed it most. After the ceremony, amidst the champagne and congratulations, Claire slipped away to her office for a moment of quiet reflection. She was staring at a photograph of her mother when a soft knock interrupted her thoughts. "May I come in?" Gregory asked, hesitating at the threshold. Claire nodded, setting down the picture. "It's your building. It's yours," he corrected, closing the door behind him. "You earned it." An awkward silence fell between them. Despite months of working together, moments alone remained charged with unspoken emotions. "Owen did well today," Claire finally said. "His speech was impressive. He gets that from his mother." Gregory smiled faintly. "Sophie could command a room without raising her voice. Like Diane," Claire noted. "She never needed to shout to be heard." Gregory's expression softened. "I wish I could have known her better. The woman she became. She was extraordinary," Claire said simply. "She raised me alone, worked 2 jobs to put me through school, never complained, even when she got sick. She never told you about me. Not until the end." Claire met his gaze directly. "She wanted to protect me from the pain of rejection." Gregory winced. "I've made so many mistakes, Claire. Things I can never undo." "No," Claire agreed. "But you're trying to make amends now. That counts for something." Before Gregory could respond, Owen burst into the office, his excitement palpable. "You have to come quickly," he exclaimed. "Something amazing just happened." They followed him to the reception area, where an elderly man in an expensive suit stood examining the architectural model of the institute. "This is Mr. Ellsworth," Owen introduced him proudly. "He has something important to show us." The man turned, revealing a face lined with age, but sharp with intelligence. "Dr. Morgan, Mr. Hayes, your son is quite the persuasive young man. When he heard I was a lawyer who had worked for the Clark family, he insisted I meet you both." Claire and Gregory exchanged confused glances. "Mr. Ellsworth was Grandpa Clark's attorney," Owen explained. "He saw the institute announcement in the paper and recognized the names." The lawyer nodded, opening his briefcase. "I retired years ago, but I kept certain sensitive documents that William Clark entrusted to me." He withdrew a worn leather journal, including his personal diary. Claire felt her pulse quicken. "My grandfather's diary." Indeed, William Clark was many things, not all of them admirable. But in his final years, he expressed profound regret about one issue in particular. The lawyer handed the journal to Claire. His greatest remorse was separating his daughters. He feared the scandal of acknowledging Diane would damage his standing in society, so he kept them apart. Claire opened the journal with trembling hands, finding the most recent entry marked with a bookmark. The handwriting was shaky but legible. "My greatest sin was not loving Diane, but denying her and Sophie the chance to know each other as sisters. I see now that blood is stronger than social convention. Perhaps someday, long after I'm gone, they will find their way back to each other through their children." Claire looked up, meeting Gregory's stunned gaze. "He knew," she whispered. "Somehow, he knew they'd find each other." "Not them," Owen said quietly. "Us. We found each other." As the winter sun set over Chicago, casting golden light through the windows of the institute, Claire stood in the garden between the two young maple trees. Owen sat cross-legged on the ground beside her, arranging small stones around the saplings. "Do you think they know?" he asked, looking up at the darkening sky. "Mom and your mom, do you think they know we're together now?" Claire followed his gaze to where two particularly bright stars shone through the twilight. "I believe they do," she said softly. Gregory joined them, keeping a respectful distance until Claire caught his eye and nodded slightly. He moved closer, standing on Owen's other side. "Sometimes," Owen said, his voice thoughtful, "we need to lose our way to find where we truly belong." In the quiet garden, surrounded by the legacy of two women who never met in life, three people linked by blood and circumstance stood together, not quite healed, not perfectly whole but no longer broken. Claire thought of her mother's favorite saying, "Circles don't end, they just keep turning until they find their way back to the beginning." Their circle was complete at last.